Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. I'm trying to get myself hooked up here. Had a really interesting uh, errand I had to run, made me a little bit late,
Oh, no problem, man.
but
I, I,
we will
I just
get
got
it
in
going here.
home.
I'm trying to get to YouTube and get everything started
Okay.
correctly. Give me
Wait,
just
okay.
a
I'm
second.
just getting in, so I'm putting me a little bite to eat on in the microwave. So
Okay.
I'll be back. I'll be around.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to thank everyone for their patience. Had a very interesting uh, errand that I had to run prior to getting back home to start the program. I'll tell you guys about it, a little bit about it here in a second. But let's go ahead and open up with Al-Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. And again, thanks everyone for joining us on Collective Conversations. Uh, Been a couple of weeks since we're only doing this on the second and fourth Mondays of each month now instead of every Monday. So lots of things happening in the world. It's kind of hard to choose a topic to necessarily talk about, but we are going to throw up one and possibly two quick videos tonight on current events and have a little bit of a discussion about the events surrounding them. So we're going to start with a clip from CNN regarding the Somali American situation with our current president. So bear with me as I get this share started, and hopefully everybody will be able to see and hear.
Somalia are not garbage. That's not a biased statement. That's not partisan. That's not anti-Trump statement. It's not a political statement. It is simple, factual, a human statement. But let's sit with this for just a moment. That word garbage, and think about what it means. Garbage is something you don't want around. Garbage is something disposable. Garbage is something you throw away, you discard. Garbage is worthless. Garbage is how the president of the United States characterizes Somali people, all Somalis. Presumably, that includes Somali Americans. The president says the entire nation of Somalia is garbage. And this is not overstating it. It's actually worth hearing again exactly how the president put it on 2 occasions this week.
I would be proud to have the luxury.
My audio went away for some reason.
Yeah, I can't hear it either.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
All right. Well, it was working. It was working fine at first, and then it
Yeah,
just
it
stopped.
was. Yeah, it was.
Okay. Hold on. I'll see what I might need to do here.
Security just like everybody else. And I've heard that. I've heard I'm doing very well in that community and in the Black community also. I mean, generally, it's an honor.
Well, my next guest is a Somali American, specifically one of those Somali-American Republicans you see there on the right side of the screen, who gave their support to the president. He was at this July 2024 rally in St. Cloud, Minnesota. You can see him at this event with Minnesota Somali leaders giving their endorsement in November of last year, right before the election. Salman Fiki is with us now. He's a business owner and a former GOP candidate for the Minnesota State House. Salman, thank you for being with me. Quote, "We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage." The president was talking about Somali immigrants. You are Somali American. What's your reaction to what you heard from the president this week?
Well, it was very dehumanizing and is very unpresidential coming from the commander-in-chief of the United States to dehumanize and to dehumanize a whole entire community by calling them garbage. And this is not acceptable by any means.
You posted on social media, I, Saman Fiki, am formally announcing that I'm ending all collaboration with the Republican Party. Have you ended your support for the president? Tell me more about what led you to your decision.
Well, the reason why this decision came about is because it was long. It was a long simmering, as it was dragging from ever since the president got elected. So, and I was monitoring his performance in many fronts, and he seems not delivering on the promises that he promised the country or the people that actually voted for him. So, and the last that broke the camel back was when he called Somali community as a garbage.
Do you regret your vote for President Trump?
No, I don't regret my vote that I voted for Trump, because where I see politics, I see politics through conservative prism, and I still have conservative values, and I see politics through that lens. But I withdraw all connections from the Minnesota GOP, from the Republican Party, for not standing up for the Somali community.
Yeah, let me actually play something from Minnesota Republican Congressman Tom Emmer. This is after the president's remarks.
Do you realize that, it's not that all Somalis are committing crimes, but 80% of the crimes being committed in the Twin Cities in Minnesota are being committed by Somalis?
His office referenced reporting on pandemic relief fraud. But what's your response to the congressman there saying that 80% of the crimes being committed in the Twin Cities in Minnesota are from Somali Americans?
That's false and unsubstantiated claim. Somalis in the Twin Cities are 80,000 to 100,000 people live in the Twin Cities. So, and the Twin Cities combined are 2 million people roughly. So the 100,000 people cannot commit 80% of the crimes in the Twin Cities. So that's a false statement, and and he's known for accusing Somali community for some false accusations, such as claiming that Somalis send in money to Al-Shabaab and things like that. That is very false statements.
Salman, let me play something for you that you said about the Republican Party. This is during the 2024 campaign.
Okay.
People would accuse the Republican Party as or paint the Republican Party as a kind of a really racist or something, but is contrary to that claim, and is very welcoming to paint the picture that a Republican Party is a racist state is absolutely untrue and far, far from the truth.
Do you still believe that today?
Well, I still believe that majority of the people that vote Republican are not racist, but the president and his comments about Somalis and other races are racist, and it ignites the racist aspects of the party. So we cannot do a generalization to the whole entire Republican Party, but some of them are racist. Yes.
You said at that event at the Minnesota State Capitol that you were backing President Trump for one of the reasons was safety for the Somali American community in Minnesota. We've reported on the new ICE mission in the Twin Cities. Do you feel safe today?
I mean, I feel safe, sort of. I feel safe, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna encounter later on. Yeah, there's ICE raids going around the cities. They were in my town, like today. They were in my town, Burnsville. Yeah, but I haven't encountered anything as of right now. But I've seen many people that actually got raided and got taken away by ICE. Yes, and I fear for them. I there's a lot of Somali community. There's a lot of Somali families that actually Somali community. There's a lot of Somali communities that actually fearful of those roots, and I get those, and I sympathize with them. And the reason why I'm speaking against those remarks by the president is stoking hate and fear into the community.
Salman Fiki, I thank you for your time this morning.
I'm hoping that the audio came back.
Unfortunately, it did.
Okay. Oh, so good, so good, so good. Because my brother, my Somali brother, was having some problems reconciling his soul with his head.
He just got to be right.
Man, and I say that because I just had a situation, a good situation, actually. Had a good conversation. So there was an ex-serviceman, young man, I think he's 31, and he was trying to make his way to DFW Airport. Excuse me. He has a flight to Poland that he has to make, and something was wrong with his car. So I have a friend who's a retired lieutenant colonel, and I guess this young man had reached out through Facebook or something like that to people in the service community. Nobody was responding to him. So James called me and said, "Hey, can you run an errand for me?" So long story short, I ended up driving this young man to DFW Airport to catch his flight. And so we have this conversation, getting to know each other and stuff like that. He's a ex-Army Ranger. He's actually been in Fayetteville, by the way. JSOC is located there, and he had been there and trained with them because he does some kind of special operations. Rescue was what his team that he was part of did. So they trained with JSOC there in Fayetteville and other places, of course. But he is originally from Liberia. And very interesting take on African Americans, and especially on President Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the things he said to me was Barack Obama should have been willing to do things for African American people. Well, he didn't say African American, he said blacks. Do things for black people here in the country when he was president that would have cost him his life. He should have been willing to sacrifice his life. And I wonder how many who are African who come here, and in his case, he came here and ended up in our military and all that stuff. I know other people come from other countries, especially Mexico, and do the same thing. But to have that viewpoint, and then you juxtapose that with this particular Somali brother, and from his whole attitude, he's I can't believe he would even consider African Americans as being worthy of a conversation or consideration, given what we just heard him say.
Right.
So, no, both of them are wrong. Okay. I mean, I told the young man I didn't agree with him. There's just too much nuance there. I'm going to say this man should be willing to give his life, make his wife a widow and his children orphans and all that stuff, just to say he's going to do for Black people. That's a bridge too far for me. But not considering the plight of African Americans when considering policies that this country is going to have and things of that nature is also a bridge too far for me. I can't align myself with either one of them. And I just wanted to I got smart people on here tonight so far, very smart people. Give me some feedback, make me feel better about the world that I live in. And especially my African brothers and sisters and the mindset that they come with. That I should take them seriously when I'm thinking about the plight of the African American in this country. Will they even understand what I'm saying?
Well, what's that? It's a Quran that talks about the triviality.
Mm-hmm.
They're entering the phase that if they didn't know anything about our history or how we got to be the way we are, they're going to know it real soon. Because this Caucasian is fighting for his life in his mind. Because when you keep getting numbers that they're going to be the minority population in a minute, overtaken by the brown and Black immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what this is all about. Right?
And to a great extent, yes.
And
with this administration.
Well, it's coming to the forefront with this administration. It's always existed in one form or another. Now they've become emboldened. And when you look at how did Somalia get to be the way it is? It got to be the way it is with the European settlers.
Right.
Who created these factions amongst them and set them out to fight each other to keep them from coming to an idea of control or ownership. So their whole division in the wars and even in the Congo, in other places, those are set in place by the European settlers.
Okay, let me interject something real quick, because this is another truth that is becoming very apparent. It's coming late to a lot of people. I've been aware of it for about 3 or 4 years, simply because of my connections in Qatar, is that the UAE has taken over for their European or let's just say Western brothers and sisters, in being the major instigators, suppliers of weapons and money into Africa to disrupt mostly East African, some North African, because they do it in Libya on a major scale.
Mm-hmm.
That the UAE is the major player in keeping these different factions, tribes, whatever you want to call them, at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And they're doing it backed by the West.
Yep.
Using Western technology and techniques, which, believe it or not, I think they've actually mastered better than the West has. I think they do a better job than the West ever did on keeping some kind of mess going and making sure that certain people have the money and the guns and transportation and logistical support that they need. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I had to throw that in because the UAE is on my toilet list.
I agree. But they are not even in control of what they're doing. You said about it at the behest of the West.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They are controlled too. What does the UAE manufacture?
Money from their petroleum resources, natural
Exactly.
gas and petroleum. That's it.
Right. That's it. And I guarantee you that's controlled by major Caucasian run oil companies.
A lot of influence there. I think a lot of people, Adam, don't, when you were, okay, go ahead.
I know back in the 80s, I went to work through Price Waterhouse. We had a contract with Exxon, which is part of Aramco,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Arab American Oil Company.
Yeah.
And we had and there were 4 oil companies that I think it was Exxon, BP, I forgot the 4.
There was the big French oil company. And I can't remember the name of that oil company off the top of my head, but yeah, BP was part of it, and the big national French oil company was a part of it.
Right. And they were developing the infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. The Arabs had major money because of the oil. But the big 4 were setting up things for them to spend the money with Western companies. And in the beginning, in the 80s, they were just stealing money. I was in Jeddah. They had built 4 high-rise buildings, apartment type buildings, maybe going up 30 or 40 stories. The base of the building was supposed to be a shopping area, right? Shops and stores. So when they built the buildings, whoever had that contract, it was 4 of them right in Jeddah. They were sitting empty because when they built the buildings, they didn't put any plumbing in the buildings. So they never really opened it. They were just sitting dormant. And I'm just saying that I'm hoping they've gotten better at it by now, but they were being milked by the Western, whether it's American or European companies that had contracts to do certain work, and they had no way of knowing if they received the goods and services that they paid for. As a matter of fact, I ran across one Caucasian I don't know why he told me that. I guess he was trying to get me set up. He said they would go back to Texas and set up a shell company, and they would send invoices to Aramco
Mm-hmm.
for $50,000, $100,000,
Yep.
and then they would say first notice, second notice, third notice, and eventually they would get paid.
Right.
I guess he told me he thought I was going to do the same thing. I didn't fall for it. But I'm saying in that regard, they had no internal controls. They had no way of knowing those types of things. I'm hoping by now they get it straight because back then it wasn't their citizens that were working on the contracts. They contracted with Western companies.
Right. Right. Yep. I know. I had friends that lived in American compounds
Yeah, yeah.
in Saudi Arabia and Iran
Hmm.
before the Shah was overthrown. And it's exactly as you say.
And in Libya, I went to Libya
Oh,
twice.
Libya was ripe for Western influence. Libya was a bright shining star.
Man, the Americans they didn't want to leave Libya.
Exactly.
When I think it was Reagan, somebody closed down the because Libya didn't have an embassy in the U.S. They had a people's mission.
Hmm.
That's what they referred to as. And they
Okay.
had an international event. They closed the people mission and sent the Libyans back, and Libyans closed the American embassy and sent the Americans back. And I was over there right when that was happening.
Mm,
And the Americans didn't want to leave. They were making too much money.
right.
So all these things happening. But and the only thing I know about the African brothers and sisters, when I was in college, we had a lot of African students. And I was in Morehouse for about a year and a half. And there was always a big conflict between the African Americans and the Africans, right?
Hmm.
Keep in mind a lot of the Africans that went to Liberia were freed slaves.
Exactly. Right.
And they went there to set up the same system that they came out of.
Hmm.
And they thought they were better than the Africans.
Right.
Now, I guess the Africans come over here now and they think they're better than we are.
Well, they do to a certain extent because with a lot of them that come here, not everybody,
Hmm.
but with a lot of them that come here, at least this is what they tell me, they basically won a lottery
Hmm.
to come to the United States, which means their government has specifically targeted them or chosen them. They could have family connections here. There's some Ethiopians that I know that already had family here, and that was part of the reason that they got their quote unquote lottery ticket. But a lot of the Nigerians and my business partner back in the 1980s was a Nigerian gentleman, Frankie Kajija. It was because of family connections and his father having certain amount of land and different things like that, and the fact that he got to go to a certain school, that it's not just random people that typically were coming to the United States. It opened up for a while, but these were people that were selected for a particular reason or purpose, typically, that
Hmm.
got sent here. And yeah, they came with a big head and a puffy chest because they thought they were special. I mean, I guess if I were in their shoes, I would probably think I was special. And I'm sure the parents told them when you get to the United States, hold your head up, stick your chest out, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and whatever, and go over there and show these people how smart you are, and
And do not hang around the Negroes.
and do not hang around the Negroes. They will drag you down. So I get all that, but we live in such a more sophisticated world, and a world that has so much more information at our fingertips. And that if you have any kind of discernment at all, you should be able to put two and two together and kind of see what's really going on under the surface. And you don't really have to get that deep, because these individuals that our current president has aligned himself with and their ideas, they're not really shy about letting you know what their plans are. They're not hiding anything.
No, they're not.
It's all out in the open, and they're full throttle going for it. I mean, he's got 2 cases in front of the Supreme Court right now. One, to be able to disband the leadership of any independent government agency and just put his people in there if he wants to. And then the birthright citizenship thing, which everybody should be right in the Supreme Court about that deal.
They're not talking about making it retroactive. Because if they were, how could you excuse the short?
I 100% agree. See, but even that's not being discussed in the right way of the implications and just when this would go into effect if the Supreme Court agrees with him and all those type things. But anyway, so whole thoughts on that. There's another video, another short one that I want to show, and it's on a totally different subject, but it's a subject that at Graceline community is near and dear to our hearts. So let's see if we can get this one going properly. So let's share the screen. Should have. Good.
Long before capitalism or central banks existed, a Muslim scholar issued a warning that still echoes across every financial crisis today. He said that when money loses its moral compass, societies rot from the inside out. And judging by the world we live in, he might have understood us a lot better than we think. Welcome to the Financial Historian, where money, power, and history collide, and nothing is ever as simple as it looks. To understand Al-Ghazali, one of the most influential thinkers of the Islamic Golden Age, you have to imagine a world that looked both familiar and foreign. The year's around 1100 CE. Europe is fragmented and poor, still crawling out of the wreckage of the early Middle Ages. Meanwhile, the Islamic world stretches from Al-Andalus in Spain to Persia and beyond. Its cities are wealthy, crowded, sophisticated. Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, these are financial and intellectual powerhouses. Trade routes pulse with caravans carrying silk, spices, textiles, and silver. Scholars debate philosophy, law, astronomy, medicine. The markets are busy, the empire is rich, and wealth is transforming society faster than anyone can fully understand. In this world of booming commerce and rising inequality, a scholar named Abu Hamid al-Ghazali emerges, part philosopher, part jurist, part theologian, part critic. Think of him as the kind of thinker who could explain both the purpose of the soul and the purpose of a currency system without blinking. Born in 1058 in Persia, al-Ghazali rose quickly through the intellectual ranks. By his mid-30s, he held one of the most prestigious teaching positions in the Islamic world. But what made him unique wasn't his prestige, it was his unwillingness to accept the status quo. He saw a world where wealth was growing, markets were expanding, and yet something felt off. A society obsessed with money but drifting away from meaning. An economy thriving outwardly but decaying inwardly. You don't have to try hard to see the modern parallel. Al-Ghazali began asking a question few had dared to ask. What happens when a civilization gets rich faster than it gets wise? And to answer it, he turned his focus to the concept of money itself. This is the part that surprises most Western viewers. Al-Ghazali wasn't just a religious thinker. He was one of the earliest philosophers to analyze money in moral and systemic terms. Where Aristotle saw money as a practical invention, and later economists analyzed it mathematically, Al-Ghazali examined its psychological and spiritual impact on a society. He looked at how money shapes behavior, incentives, trust, and ultimately the fate of nations. To understand his economic ideas, you first need to understand how he saw money at its core. For Al-Ghazali, money was not meant to be worshipped, hoarded, or used as a status symbol. It was a tool, nothing more, a facilitator of exchange. He compared money to a mirror. A mirror has no value on its own. Its worth comes from what it reflects. Money is the same. Its power lies not in the gold or silver itself, but in what it allows people to trade, build, and cooperate. It's an idea modern economists like to claim as their own, but Al-Ghazali was writing it in the 11th century, when many Europeans still understood wealth mainly as land or loot. And from this foundation emerged one of his most important insights. Hoarded money is dead money. To him, wealth locked away in chests, hidden in rooms, or buried in courtyards wasn't just useless, it was socially destructive. Idle wealth doesn't circulate. It doesn't feed workers, fund trade, or support families. It strangles economic life. He described it as freezing the bloodstream of society, a line that could easily appear in any modern critique of inequality. But Al-Ghazali wasn't simply complaining about greed. His argument was systemic. When the wealthy hoard money, they create scarcity, not because resources are lacking, but because circulation is blocked. Prices distort, markets break down, people suffer. This critique leads to his next major idea. Speculation destroys trust. Al-Ghazali had no patience for merchants who manipulated prices, created artificial shortages, or exploited crises for profit. He saw speculative behavior not as clever strategy, but as moral corruption. Profit without contribution. Whoever profits from the suffering of others, he wrote, profits from corruption. And corruption, in his view, was a contagion. Once it takes hold, it spreads through markets, institutions, and eventually the entire society. If this sounds like a commentary on modern financial bubbles, predatory lending, or crisis profiteering, well, it is, just written 900 years earlier. But Al-Ghazali wasn't anti-profit. He wasn't anti-business. He wasn't calling for monasteries or poverty vows. He believed in trade strongly. He believed markets were natural and necessary. He believed wealth could be meaningful and even noble. His real target was dishonest trade, cheating, lying, using false weights, concealing defects in products, or manipulating information. He believed that markets function only when the participants trust one another. And once trust collapses, the economy collapses right behind it. In that sense, he was one of the earliest thinkers to describe what modern economists now call transaction costs, information asymmetry, and moral hazard, just without the jargon. Another of his key insights was the value of labor. He argued that work was inherently dignified, while unearned wealth was spiritually dangerous. To him, money earned through effort built character, while money accumulated through manipulation rotted it. That might sound moralizing, but the logic was practical. Societies grow strong when people contribute. They grow weak when people exploit. But Al-Ghazali didn't stop with individuals. He also delivered one of the earliest critiques of state intervention in currency. Medieval rulers, like many modern ones, often diluted gold or silver coins to stretch their budgets, effectively taxing people through stealth inflation. Al-Ghazali condemned this practice outright. To him, debasing currency was theft. It eroded trust in the market. It punished the poor who received weaker coins. It destabilized the financial system from the top down. He believed the state had a role in maintaining fair markets, but that role was limited. Leaders should protect the economy, not manipulate it for short-term gain. He warned that unjust rulers destroy prosperity faster than any outside enemy. And once again, the modern parallel doesn't require explanation. Al-Ghazali's warnings about rulers did not emerge from abstract theory, but from watching the real behavior of real states. In his lifetime, political fragmentation was increasing, dynasties fought for legitimacy, local governors pushed for more revenue, and as always, when rulers felt their grip on society slipping, the very first place they tightened their hands was the economy. Some raised taxes to painful levels. Others manipulated coinage to stretch their budgets. Some seized merchant assets, while others borrowed recklessly and left future generations to deal with the consequences. None of these tactics were new, and none of them, in Al-Ghazali's eyes, solved the underlying problem. He believed corruption at the top radiated downward like a poison. When a ruler cheated his people, the merchants felt justified in cheating their customers. When institutions failed to act with integrity, individuals no longer saw any reason to act with responsibility. The entire economic order, from the palace treasury to the neighborhood market, became a chain reaction of distrust. His conclusion was stark, but simple. A society can survive poverty, but it cannot survive corruption. Economic collapse is rarely about running out of money or resources. It is about the breakdown of trust, the invisible glue that holds every transaction, every contract, every currency, and every institution together. When that trust erodes, even the wealthiest nation becomes fragile. From this perspective, his ideas about currency make sense. To Al-Ghazali, currency stability depended entirely on honesty. Debasement of coinage, diluting gold or silver content, wasn't just poor policy. It was deception. It was betrayal. A ruler who tampered with currency was not being clever. He was stealing from his own people in slow motion. What looked like a minor alteration to a coin's purity was, to Al-Ghazali, the beginning of financial rot. He predicted that if states manipulated currency too often, the population would eventually lose trust, abandon the local coin, and start using stronger foreign currencies instead. 1,000 years later, these dynamics played out in Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, and every modern case where people flee their own money because they no longer trust the promises behind it. Meanwhile, inflation debates and anxieties in the 21st century reflect exactly what this medieval scholar understood, that money is ultimately a belief system, and once people stop believing, the system stops functioning. But Al-Ghazali's view of finance went beyond currency and taxation. He understood something deeper about human nature. People hoard out of fear. They speculate out of greed. They cheat when they think they can get away with it. They manipulate money because money is easy to manipulate. They rationalize unethical profits because everyone else is doing the same. And when a society reaches the point where exploitation becomes normal, collapse is already underway. This belief guided one of his most powerful insights. You cannot fix an economy without fixing the incentives that shape human behavior. Laws matter and markets matter, but behind them all are people making choices driven by emotion, ambition, fear, and desire. Unless a society's systems align those incentives toward productive, honest behavior, the economy will drift toward corruption, instability, and self-destruction. This is why Al-Ghazali placed so much emphasis on the moral dimension of wealth. To him, wealth without responsibility was not just spiritually dangerous, it was a threat to the common good. He believed wealth was not inherently bad, it was simply incomplete without purpose. A society grows strong when individuals contribute more than they extract, when the drive to accumulate is balanced by the duty to uplift. But when wealth becomes detached from social responsibility, when the pursuit of profit ignores the welfare of the community, the system becomes brittle. The selfish society eventually collapses under its own weight, and once it collapses, everyone pays, including the wealthy who thought they were immune. Civilizations rise when people understand balance. They fall when that balance snaps. And that brings us directly into the modern world, a world where Al-Ghazali's insights feel less like medieval philosophy and more like a diagnostic report of our current age. We live in a global economy where money moves faster than meaning, where wealth inequality approaches levels not seen in centuries, where markets often reward speculation over contribution, where trust in institutions declines year after year, where inflation quietly erodes purchasing power, and where financial bubbles grow, burst, and grow again with predictable regularity. Everywhere you look, there are echoes of the very problems Al-Ghazali described, playing out on a global scale. His critique of hoarding mirrors today's debates about billionaires, offshore accounts, and concentrated wealth. His warnings about speculation resemble concerns over housing crises, crypto volatility, shadow banking, and predatory markets. His condemnation of manipulated currency strikes at the heart of today's monetary policy debates. And his belief that trust is the foundation of prosperity explains why nations with stable institutions, honest courts, predictable regulations, transparent governance enjoy stronger currencies and more resilient economies. What strikes modern readers is how little the world has changed. The technology is different, the markets are faster, the scale is global instead of regional, but the underlying human behaviors are the same. Al-Ghazali would likely look at our current system, at runaway debt, speculative frenzies, widening inequality, political gridlock, and institutional distrust, and say exactly what he wrote 1,000 years ago. Where justice is lost, prosperity cannot remain. It's an uncomfortable truth. Economies don't collapse because the numbers stop adding up. They collapse because the people inside the system stop trusting each other. They collapse because the incentives reward the wrong behaviors. They collapse because institutions fail to uphold the fairness that makes markets possible. Human emotion, human fear, human greed, human shortcuts. These, not abstract economic formulas, are what push civilizations toward crisis. Al-Ghazali wasn't preaching religion, he was describing reality. He understood something economists often struggle to admit, that money is not a mechanical object. It is a moral ecosystem. And when the moral framework disintegrates, the financial system follows right behind it. That's why his ideas matter today. In an era defined by record debt, speculative excess, institutional mistrust, and financial anxiety, his central message becomes a survival principle. If money becomes detached from morality, the system will eventually break. Understanding that idea isn't just financial education, it's financial protection. Because history doesn't repeat, but if you don't understand it, it'll crush you all the same. And if this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers, and I'll show you where to look.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that and got a little bit out of it. Is that definitely kind of dovetails with a lot of the messaging that we have at Graceline Community and what our upcoming webinars and seminars will talk about to a certain extent as well. Any comments?
That's something that needs to be commonly understood, especially in today's environment, because that corruption that he talked about is far-reaching, and I listen to a lot of people, and they don't understand that what they're talking about is the results of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't run our businesses like that. But what the Quran says about the shaitan is that he makes this world seem fair seeming.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good ayat to throw into that. Because that's definitely the case. And the Quran says it better in that sense than I ever could. Because what we were just saw in the video, there's a little bit of deceit here. So that person who thinks that maybe the government's getting over on them a little bit, they say, well, to make that up, I got to get over on my customers.
Exactly.
Right? And it just feeds on itself. Instead of addressing the real moral questions about what's happening, people just accept it as that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. And if we don't do it, we'll be out of business.
I joke with my clients every now and then, let's say I'm somewhere and they overcharge me, or I think they overcharge me.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, no, this is the way it is. So I was at Batteries Plus, and the guy tried to sell me an extra key fob that I didn't really need. So I rejected it. I said, for me to do that, I'd have to go back and on my next 10 clients, put a BP surcharge on there, my bill.
Right.
Batteries Plus. To get my money back.
Exactly. And you know what's funny is, I can't speak for anybody else, but that kind of thinking drifts into my head. And I actually have to stop myself and say, that's wrong. Can't do that.
Right.
I never get to the point that I was thinking about really implementing it, but I will not tell a lie and say the thought doesn't occur to me.
Right.
Right. And it's just in the air. It's everywhere. That you got to do this to survive. You got to do that to stay ahead. If you're going to make, a certain amount of profit, you're going to have to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And that's a sad statement, even on myself, that the thought even floats into my head.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a problem. And I know it's not just me. It's a problem that exists, and it has to do with, he said moral about 50 times in that video, but morality is a huge component of doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just some abstract oh, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white. No, we're not machines. So we have to have a judgment system that is really and truly controlled by something bigger than our own, like you said, emotional state or whatever. And that's where morality comes in. And of course, obviously, if you dig down in me, I'm going to say that I get my moral stance from Quran, which I think is the best place to get it. But wherever you get it from, yeah, I think that's a big part of the picture. And I actually think it's a big part of the picture when you're talking about people and their own personal spending habits.
Right.
You know, and thinking about taking care of themselves and their family, of making these moral decisions on, you know, really and truly long term, what's going to be best for the moral structure of my family.
Right.
Where do we spend our money? What do we support externally? And also, what do we support and stand up for internally? So I thought those were one very provocative video with some of our brethren and sisterin in faith from Somalia, and then the little economic lesson from Al-Ghazali. I love reading Al-Ghazali. I've always thought he was a great thinker.
Yeah, definitely. But
So,
that's not only the thinking of the Somali brothers and sisters.
oh, I know.
I tell you about my Yemeni clients,
Mm-hmm.
and I be wearing them out. You know, I just had one that was crying. I said, man, you just figured out now that you just another Negro. Welcome to the family.
He might be lower than a Negro.
Huh?
Because they might be able to take him out of the country and drop him off
Yeah,
in a boat somewhere.
yeah. They
You
they
know,
would love to. They would love to. But I'm saying
send him
that,
to Nicaragua first.
yeah. So they be selling all kind of junk to our people, right?
Right.
And I had a young Yemeni brother that was doing like a little internship with me. And he admitted to me that his fellow Yemenis would call African Americans Abid.
Mm.
Abid means slave.
Right.
You know, they would call them Abid. That's how they don't respect them. So I told him, I said, look here, when you see your customers, I want you to put my face on their neck, on their shoulders. But for the grace of Almighty Allah, that could have been me. You follow?
Right.
That could have been me. So don't do that. And I can talk to him like that. I mean, I can talk to him like that. Like they'll come to me, want me to turn some corners and cut them some slack. I said, I look around my walls. I said, Dad, somebody took my sign down. He said, what sign is that? I said, brother, I ain't gonna lie for you and I ain't gonna cheat for you. Anywhere else that we all be good. But I ain't gonna do that for you. You know. So many of them don't even get on don't even get on the Pakistanis. They probably the worst.
Which is really, really interesting because the Pakistanis are one of the groups. If you go to the wealthier countries in the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
the Pakistanis are looked down on so bad. that, a Saudi father would rather cut off both his hands than have his daughter marry a Pakistani.
Now you know why they like America, brother. But see, I've been over there. I know the caste system in India and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I know how it is over there. And they inherited that from the British.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they try to use that on us. I said, no, man.
They have no idea from where we've come. They have no idea.
I told them, I said, we ain't the ones, man.
Mm-mm. Very last ones. You do not want any of this. You don't want the other side of the coin.
Right.
You really don't. Because what our ancestors went through here, no, you don't even want me bringing up memories. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. So we got work to do because even here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth, is a county seat over there. There's a very large Somali population over there, and they do well economically. At their stores and shops and different things like that, they do really well. I mean, they had approached. I don't know if you ever, when Sister Felicia Davis was attending the Graceline meetings, I don't know if you were a part of Graceline at that point, but she used to work for Morgan Stanley out in LA and came back to Dallas when her father got ill, and big real estate holdings, African American family. Her father was a minister, but he dabbled in real estate and left about 15 million. It's not a lot. $15 million would be nice for me, worth of real estate for her. And she manages that, came back to manage that. But because of it's mostly office space. So she rents, even over in Tarrant County, she rents office space to them. And they came to her with a plea that they needed to find somebody who could handle $2 to $3 million a month in transfers from them back to Somalia, to family and friends and business partners and all that type of thing, because they're having to route all their money through Dubai. And they would charge them a pretty penny to route the money. So they were looking for something less expensive. Of course, Felicia called me and she wanted to see where we were with the credit union and all that type of thing. Of course, we know where we are with the credit union. So I recommended the little Muslim bank, Bank of Whittier. And I don't know, I haven't really followed up to see where that went. But my point is this, is that many of them, even like the Ethiopian population in Dallas, their businesses do well. The population is growing. They're really tight-knit. With the Ethiopians, you get a mix of Christian and Muslim. With the Somalis, it's mostly Muslim population. But they don't really have much to do with us unless they need something from us.
Right.
That's when you see their face. And I don't know, because I think the practice of Al-Islam, their practice of Al-Islam is different than our practice of Al-Islam. Not from the standpoint of 5 prayers, not from the standpoint of Juma or Ramadan or anything like that. But there's a lot of mysticism that's built into their practice of Al-Islam. A lot. And so we don't really see them that much mixing with our community. And I don't know if it's that way in Fayetteville. I don't know. But here, don't see that much of them.
Right down. Somalis. I don't know, not that there are not any Somalis here, but I don't know how to identify them. But there's not a lot of them, I know that.
Yeah, I think mostly they're in the Midwest for the most part because they, like certain groups, get attracted to certain industries.
Hmm.
The Somalis got attracted to the meatpacking industry.
Oh, okay.
Because even when one of my sisters, when she came back from Germany, she was doing missionary work around the world. She came back from Germany. She settled in Dodge City, Kansas, of all places. And she got a job at the local community college there, teaching English as a second language, and almost her entire class was Somalis. And it's because they work for one of the huge meat packing companies that were there, cattle industry, in Kansas and Colorado and different places, Nebraska, meat packing, in Minnesota, up in the Twin Cities and all around Minnesota, meat packing is huge. And a lot of the Somalis up there are in that industry and ancillary to the meat packing industry. And of course, now they're doing everything, but that's where a lot of them came over. But like I said, they don't really just don't have a lot of FaceTime with them at all. And I think that's that the initial of that video, that initial shot of when they were standing for Trump before the election,
Mm.
man, almost everybody in that picture is wearing Islamic garb.
Hmm.
Everybody. And I don't know. To me, that's off-putting because, again, as I said earlier, that just shows their mindset and their lack of any type of consideration for the history of this country and the history of African Americans.
Right.
They just don't see us. They don't see us. Or they don't value our contribution. They don't value our history.
Yeah, they definitely don't. And they don't know the history. So,
Yeah, and it'd be less and less if we were thinking they were going to get anything from the school systems, at least for the next 2.5 to 3 years, that's going to be slim and none,
mhm.
and we don't teach it ourselves as much as we should. We should be blasting it, but we don't do that. But Brother Hassan, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Well, good to hear your voice, brother.
Alhamdulillah.
Brother Ishmael, any comments if you're still with us?
So I'm like, no, I'm still here. I was at dinner with my wife, so I couldn't talk as much.
Oh,
But
nice. Okay.
no, I'm
Good.
here though.
All right, brother. Thank you for joining. So, Adam,
Yes, sir.
Hassan, Ishmael, I don't have a lot else. Those are two things that kind of caught my eye over the past couple of days
Hmm.
that I just wanted to touch on for perspective and get some feedback. Floor is open for anything that anybody wants to discuss. If there's anything on your mind, let's throw it out there.
Well, from an economical standpoint, what are we trying to do?
Well, I mean, I think Imam Hassan, we're pretty much on the same path we've been on. And I know I've heard you on different programs and you've listened to some of the things that I've said as well. Right now, I would say that the focus has to be very much local. And I say that not because I think that is the absolute best path to be on, but it's what we have because we don't really have a national connection going on. Right? We're not engaged enough with each other to offer the kind of support and whatever kind of support, product support, business knowledge support, financial support. We could go down the list to have any kind of a national economic movement. We're not connected enough. But I think that we have people on the local level who can make some inroads, who can make some progress just based on their local situation, their local ties, if they're willing to maybe make an extra step, get a little bit of a guidance as far as placement of a business, marketing, how to market the businesses better and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of where we should be looking right now is local. It's because the rest of it is like herding cats.
Right.
Cannot get us on the same page, moving in the same direction. That's my take on it. I mean, other people may see it differently, but that's the way I view it right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And somebody's going to get mad at me for saying this, but that's okay. People stay mad at me. We have a for-profit business called the Muslim Journal.
Okay.
And I've asked this question 1,000 times. Yes, they are for-profit. They are not non-profit. They are for-profit. Okay.
Correct.
That's great. So we are once again having a time to be grateful, which is a fundraising effort for a for-profit business in which the individuals who are going to attend this grand pat on the back party for 2 or 3 days are going to go spend their money at hotels and this and that and the other, and a little bit of money for registration, events, all that type of thing is going to go to Muslim Journal. And there's some vendors that'll be there that'll make some money as well.
Right.
And that's fine. It's all fine. Okay. I'm not going to tell them to stop doing it. But if you're a for-profit business and you actually understand the nature of a for-profit business and the nature of raising capital for your business to be able to expand your operations, sustain your operations, so on and so forth, 90%, not 50, not 60, no, I'm going to take that back, 100% of the money that's being spent should be money that's invested into the Muslim Journal for shares of the Muslim Journal.
Well,
For them to have working capital. Because if I can spend $500 flying round trip and $150 a night for, let's say if I was going to be there for 2 nights, another $300, and whatever else I'm going to spend on knickknacks and this and that and a meal and whatever. So I'm at $1,000. And I think, Adam, you brought this up before. That's $1,000 that I could invest in Muslim Journal for shares in the Muslim Journal. And those shares don't have to be any kind of controlling or voting shares or anything of that nature necessarily. But if I'm going to support Muslim Journal, that makes more sense to me from a business standpoint. Until the business is large enough and successful enough that it invites the shareholders to come see the wonderful things that we've done with your money. Our circulation has grown 300%. You know, our bank accounts are fat. We're doing things in color, and we've improved this and improved that. We have this going on. That makes more sense to me. Am I totally out of line here?
But I've been saying that for, I know the last 5 years. I had a campaign. I'm gonna stay at home and send the money that I'm not spending to the Muslim Journal. I invest in a lifetime subscription in the Muslim Journal on money that I didn't spend with the airfare and the hotels, the car rental ship.
Right, right.
And I stayed home. So it makes, the problem is when you talk about investing in shares and whatever, you knock 90% of the people out the box. They don't
From
understand.
their lack of understanding. Okay.
They don't understand it, right? And how to set that up. And then when you get too murky, the investors don't understand them because the people that come up with the program can't explain it to them, and they don't understand it. You understand it because you've been in that arena for a long time. I understand what you're saying. But that to be that, and I would say 85% of the people don't even realize that it's a for-profit entity. Right.
Right.
They still think it's nonprofit. All right. So I know Imam, what's the man's name? Kareem. Because I talked to him about 2 years ago, and I told him after the event why I didn't come. And he agreed with me. A lot of money is going everywhere else and where it should go.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do some things. Now, I think I might have mentioned to you, I watched the Olympics.
Yeah, we watched the same thing. We saw the people in the living room.
Richardson,
yes,
grandmother and other people at the Olympics in Tokyo.
Right.
Then they had their sister. Her family wasn't there.
Exactly. House full of people.
The camera panned back over to where she's from, Texas somewhere.
Yeah.
I think the camera panned back to her family house back in Texas, full of people.
Yep.
And they were cheering and everything. Now they saved a lot of money.
Yes, they did, and had a good time.
And had a good time. And the audience, so I said, well, why can't we do that here? Why can't we have in various masjids and centers during the time to be grateful, during the banquet, and they hear the camera, let's go to Masjid Omar bin Said in Fayetteville. And the camera comes there and they look at our masjid, there's 100 people in there.
Exactly. Clapping
and partying. And they say, well, we just had a fundraiser for the Muslim Journal and we raised $1,000. That's $1,000 that would have gone to the hotels, airfare, everywhere else, right?
Right.
So why can't we have about 30 locations in the States at the same time? With today's technology, they can have it where the rooms can be shown, whatever, and raise money. But the thing about raising money, you got to have a good plan.
Right.
You got to have an excellent plan. And that's where it lost. I would rather take some of the money and give it to Muslim Journal, and um they hire somebody as a social media expert or internet expert.
All of these, think about this, all of these newspapers, news outlets, and everything else, they're all consolidating, downsizing. There are some great minds out there who have spent years in the industry
Yeah.
who know how to run it, know how to maximize the use of the funds that you have, know how to market it, know how to tie into other publications and broadcast channels and everything to get you basically free publicity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Get the message out about you and all that. I mean, and you can't tell me that some of those people aren't Muslim or aren't part of our community. I just got to believe they're out there.
And can set up a digital paper,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Because that's where it's going now.
Exactly.
They don't sell the local paper here. They don't sell that many papers, but they got a whole
Man,
lot of
it's a
digital
giveaway.
subscribers.
Yes. The Dallas Morning News is a giveaway. I mean, you
Yeah.
walk into a convenience store or something, there are 3 copies there.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, one of those 3 copies has been read 50 times by people just coming in, picking it up, flipping through it while they were shopping or waiting on somebody to get what they wanted so they could pay
Mhm.
for it or whatever and put it right back on the rack.
Right. That's true. I haven't bought a local paper in a long time.
No, I haven't either. I have a digital subscription to the Dallas Morning News.
Same here on this
Oh,
end,
so do I. Yep.
you know. Then with the young people, you lost me when you said read.
Oh, I understand. That's very true too. That is very true.
Forget that.
Yeah.
Oh man. So we got to.
I even offered when they had the 50th. I offered. I said I will have a professional film people come down here record it, and everybody that couldn't make it, we can you can sell that recording.
Yes.
And they said they already had it, but we haven't. I told them I'd do it, and as long as I can recoup my money that I invested in it. They said that they had a recorder, but I haven't seen the 50th for sale yet.
They have a, so you can go on the convener's website and you can see parts of the event, the 3-day event there. But I don't think that they're at the point yet where they have curated it, edited, and all that stuff to the point that they're ready to sell it. Because yes, you are 100% correct. They could package that and sell the video.
Yeah.
Digitally, however they want to do it. They want to go ancient and
they
do it, but
any
way that you want to do it.
Send a brochure that one of the pamphlets that came with it. I mean, it's plenty of people that want that. Even though they didn't make it, they want to be a part of it. So
that's right. And what I've always said is that whatever money, so there's two things I think you should do with the money. If they did something like that, there's 2 things that they should do for the money. One thing is they should set up an emergency fund for imams. And maybe you want to start with something that covers the conveners, the regional, the state imams, whatever. So if there's medical emergencies, travel emergencies, blah, 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 there's something there. But the other thing, which is actually more important when you think about it, but don't tell anybody I said this, is to create an Imam W.D. Muhammad Education Fund with anything that they put together like that involves the entire community and raises money, that it goes into, and a large part of it goes into an education fund. So that if any of our schools are having problems, that they can dip into that fund. And if we get that fund established properly and get people in who actually know how to run it, how to do grant writing or fundraising or whatever the case may be, that you can add funds to it and grow that fund and have it there as an assistance to the other things that other initiatives that we have as far as strengthening our schools. That's just my idea.
There's so many things. Like I told them, they can. I mean, Muslim Journal News. They have a newscast. Just giving the articles. I mean, there's so much they can do. On YouTube or TikTok. Just there's so many things that can be done digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Get some up and coming Muslim young people that want to do, newscasting or something. Just have them do a newscast, reading some of the articles, or maybe even interviewing some of the people.
So why with TikTok and YouTube and all that stuff, why are we not seeing more of our young people doing that on platforms that really don't cost them a bunch of money to at least get started? Why are we not seeing them do more, you think?
You talking about to help
No, I'm just saying to have a presence. I'm just saying to let people know that we're still here. Why are not more of our young people on these platforms doing things? Because I know NFN, New Freedom Network, they're there. They have a weekly or, twice a week something that they have going on in there. New Africa has something every week. And, there's a few like that. But I don't see a proliferation like I see with some other communities of our young people filling the airwaves on YouTube and TikTok. Though I'm not on TikTok, so I can't say. I've never actually been on TikTok ever. But especially on YouTube, Facebook's kind of dated for young people. They're not really on Facebook.
Right.
But it's Instagram and YouTube, let's say. I don't see our presence as prevalent as I would think it would be.
Disconnect for sure. It's a disconnect, most definitely.
Okay, so they don't need my approval. What I'm saying is they shouldn't be looking for our approval, us older people. And I know, Ishmael, you're still a young person to me, so no, they don't need to come to me for approval to be on social media and to be speaking out about issues within the Islamic community, talking about faith, talking about business, talking about relationships, talking about sports and entertainment. I would hope they would be all over all of that. But I don't see it. Do they think that we would disapprove?
I don't think so. I know my son, he just graduated from college. And all what you're talking about, he knows. But there's no market. Their market, they're looking for stability. They're not looking for, to them, it's like saying, well, I guess it's what we would hope that they have, the spirituality of being a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
They may have that, but they're not. They don't. I think what they're about themselves. They're like, okay, how do I? If I get on these platforms, it's about making money. It's not about me trying to do dawah or something in that nature. They're just not there with that. I mean, they're just not there. Because if they're trying to get on the platform now, we know we older, so we done that type of stuff. We would do that type of stuff. you know, I would do that type of stuff, but I'm so far removed from. I don't know how to do any of that. Uh, yeah, I don't. I know I don't. But I know they're just not there with that. It's not there. I volunteer, and I've been doing it for 8 years over the Juvenile Justice Center here in Philadelphia.
Okay.
We got more Muslim youth in those facilities. They're just not. They're not. I don't know what it. I think one of the things that I believe that the teachings and things that they're getting now per se is not. I don't know how to say it. I'll maybe say I remember which I think now is a good expression of language in the sense that I forget his name, the young brother from Atlanta. He speaks about
Rashad.
Right, prophetic culture.
Mm-hmm.
And the our youth is pulled toward the culture of the street or the culture of the immigrant Muslims. Like that, I hate to say it, but that's that, more so than that, because it's not us. Now we got some that, they can, when they're around us, they with us. But, we haven't, well, they just not, to me, they just not, they don't have that concern like we have. They just don't have it.
Okay, let me ask quick question, because you said you work with youth, and I'm saying it's like a halfway house, youth detention center, whatever type of thing. So these are young people who've had some kind of delinquent activity. Would I be correct in saying that?
Definitely.
Okay. And you're saying that a large number of them identify as being Muslim.
Correct.
And you're also saying that some of the direction that they get that landed them where they are comes from their rubbing up against the immigrant community?
I would say yes.
Okay. So now I have to go all the way back to the household that they were raised in. Would you say that the parents that were in that household of these young people also identified as being Muslim?
Well, they say yes. The ones that
okay. Well, they say yes, or it's true. Yes.
It's only years ago, over. Shoot, I don't know. I volunteered up at the prisons in Philadelphia, state prisons, for 13 years. I'm gonna just say it the way it really happened. When that movement of the Salafi movement came into Philadelphia, the majority of the young people that was going to jail, the group came, is the protection of the group being, okay, I'm Salafi, I'm Salafi, I'm Salafi, I'm Salafi, so because that was the Nation of Islam was moving out. They, that's like moving out because they was in the jails first. So the Salafi younger people came through, and that's how the majority of young people went with young people. They didn't go with, the older people, old heads, so forth and so on, and then the Salafi, you all teaching the religion wrong and blah, 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 blah. So it created a great big divide. So if you'd ask me asking your question, and I'm looking at, okay, first of all, let me say this, because I don't know, I may be older than you. I'm 82 years old. So
you're a little older than me, not much.
Okay, but I'm older than you. So being 83 years old, I'm saying that I've seen, you know, I've seen that the young people now, imagine that what I'm talking about now, their parents might have been 17, 18, 13, 15, you know,
Okay.
but they had the older, not older, like I would say maybe from the 20s, to maybe 25, 30, I don't even think 30. But those type of brothers were marrying young girls just off the street, period. I mean, just, you know, you don't have to be there, you don't have to have your parent, blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of things that we're well, this in Philly. I can't say, you know, I don't know about anywhere else, but I know here in Philly, there's a lot of things that we can't. I would want to say, yeah, well, yeah, the parents, you know, but the parents was, you know, they didn't come from our experience. I put it like that. You
Okay.
know, they don't have what we have. They don't have a belonging. They belong to that group. I'm Salafi. And what I do, you know, some of the Salafis that I'm with, we doing certain things in the street. We're from the street. You know, so we make cliques, we make gangs, we make this is my corner, blah, 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 you know. So it's a lot entailed in it as opposed to, you know, where we think it would be or should be. It's just not.
Hmm.
And it's over. I would say it's right now we in that juvenile justice center, social center, is at least 95, and I would go even farther to say 98% is African American. So, you know, you might see one Caucasian, you may see 3 or 4 Hispanics. Other than that, the girls and the guys, African American.
Hmm.
And
Can I ask the question once you finish?
sure.
What percentage of our young people are introduced to this religion through prison in your understanding?
I couldn't tell you that. I don't know. I don't know how to say
Do you
that.
think it's like a majority or it's a minority as far as the young people that come to this religion? Because I have no idea. I'm thinking it might be a minority, but I haven't looked it up to see.
Well, I put it like this. Remember, young folks like to be with young folks. I mean, really, because I mean, honestly, you get with an older person, and what are we doing? We're trying to tell them what life is about. But the street got them more so than we do. I mean, that's just how it is. We don't have the schools. You know, once we had Claire Muhammad, we don't have it. So what do we have? We sent them off to the to the regular school.
Yeah, or to the immigrant school, one or the other.
Here, immigrants here, you ain't go. It's very rare that you're gonna go to their schools because that's not they don't want that. I mean, I understand it. I understand it because all they see is trouble. You know,
Right.
that's all they see. You know, and they definitely, you know, we start talking about being around my daughters and stuff. They just don't want it, and I mean, I understand it. Plus, they're like, you know, trying to do something. As we were just saying, you can see them. You know, well, they come from a country to where they got something that they can belong to. They realize what you got. They figure, well, you got America, but you all ain't doing nothing. I mean, that's the way it looked.
Uh-huh.
So,
But thank God that we wasn't thinking that way when we became Muslim.
oh, ain't no doubt. We the forefront.
All right. So now, why should they be given an out? One brother called on my radio program on AM 360 and said his grandson asked him when he was trying to get him to volunteer. He said, "What's in it for me?"
Oh.
So my next program, the next week was entitled "They Are Not Who We're Looking For." You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
He's not who we're looking for.
Now, let me be. You're speaking about the immigrant Muslims, or what do you when you say
I'm
that?
talking about the young African Americans that we're trying to get to volunteer and get some work done.
Oh, so the ones that say what's in it for me is not the ones we should be looking for. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
He ain't what
like
we're looking for anyway.
he's like the ones that who was it that was it David? Somebody sent him to the stream and said, whoever just takes a quick sip is with me, but if you sitting there hogging the water trying to drink everything,
Right.
Right.
you gotta stay at home, man. We don't need you.
Yeah. Well, it's I I know here there are certain when it's everywhere, it's just not but I can only speak about here basically. There are certain brothers who's trying to put together things to where we may have but it has to be, and that's the problem. It got to be free and that makes the problem because you got to have the money first to go do this and do that. But to educate, not educate academically, but brothers who may be electricians that's involved in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to I don't know the term, but whatever it costs you to call, do the whole house. So we're trying to get that. There's a thing here, I don't know if you guys got it. I don't know. You ever hear of Jump Start?
There are similar programs
Yeah,
around the country,
Okay.
different
Call it something
names, but
else.
same thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, well that's it. That's it. We're trying to get into that because even just say all them young brothers that go through prison and come or go through the juvenile justice center and come out, they're going right back to the street because they gotta pay for them phones and they gotta have them phones and stuff. So they use them phones for them. And I know that it's not all, but it's too many. They're using the phones for to keep in contact with what they trying to make money with.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, they may stop and as they say, it's time to bump. They may stop and go do a few prayers or something, but that ain't paying them. So, I mean, it, they got a lot on them. I put it like that. Now, and I know we can, because we did some things when we was younger, so we understand.
So basically what you're saying is we don't really have an infrastructure that's built properly
Correctly.
to be able to take care of their growing pains.
Correct.
And I want to say this about it too, based on my experience. I'm a second generation out of this community, and I'm just gonna be straight up honest. I think people like Rashad Abdul Rahman is successful because he's that bridge between what they've been taught in Islam, whether it's from whatever background, whatever way they came in, he's able to bridge that gap to bring them to the language of the Imam, in my opinion. And I think that's why he's successful, because he knows what they know and he knows what the Imam knows, and he's able to bridge that understanding.
Yeah, I agree.
That they can accept it, because so many times, I would hear, well, the Imam said this, and I'd be like, okay, where is it in the Quran? Well, I don't know, but the Imam said it. So I was like, well, some of us need more than that. You got to be able to take me to the Quran where he got it from. And I don't think it was enough of us that could do that, that could help, bridge that gap. And that's my opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. And that I think that's part of it, Ishmael. But I think another part of it is, let me put this, that's the long-term, 100% sustainable part of it, right? That ties you into Quran and Sunnah seerah of the prophet, Imam W.D. Muhammad. That's eternal. That's 100% sustainable. You can't not punch holes in that today or 50 years from now. There's another part of it that a young man who's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old who says, I get that. And I want that to be a part of my life. How do I eat, man? How do I aspire to ever have a wife? Can you help me with that too?
Yeah, I agree. That's
You know,
that's probably even a more major part. I agree. That could be more major than what I said. So
well, no, it's not more major than what you said, but it's today, right? Like the stuff that you were talking about is eternal. You're going to take that with you to the next life. This other stuff is today. My stomach is talking to me real bad today. This girl that I like is talking about me real bad today because I can't even buy her a Diet Coke. You know, unless I'm going around the corner and do this deal for this brother that I met in lockup, then I have a little pocket change. So the one infrastructure that is Quranic, that is spiritual, that is parts of something in your life that you take with you, I think we have that. I don't think there are any holes in that within our community, or very few. We don't have that other element yet in a systemic way where you don't have to really look for it, that it's just there. You know, where somebody says, you know, so and so's son, he just got his associate's degree and he needs a job where he tries to figure out what his next step is. Would you hire him to work in your hardware store? And the immediate answer is yes. Just send him by here. We'll get him started. Or can you put him on your construction crew? You know, well, yeah, just send him by here. We'll give him a job. I'll make sure he's safe. Whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. And I think that there are instances where that exists in our community, but it's not transparent and we're not connected enough that happens enough all the time. And the other part of that is we need more. We need more of individuals that have the ability to do that.
yeah, I think that's the main reason Atlanta is successful because they have that just organically. Even if they weren't Muslim, they
Mm-hmm.
have those businesses that can help the youth. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything from what they're teaching or anything. It's just the fact that Atlanta's Atlanta and you have successful people that can help others and
Mm-hmm.
they benefit from it. So yeah, I can understand that.
Brother Hassan, I get the same impression about Philadelphia though, that you guys, that there are business owners there, there are successful people there, people that are involved in government, people that, you know, have their own small businesses and different things like that. Am I off base on Philadelphia?
Well, not you're correct in that, you know, people that have their own businesses, people that they're in the government, so forth and so on. I'm gonna put it this way: if I'm in government, and I'm not me, I'm using me as what I'm expressing for real. But if I'm in government now, and I'm Muslim, now you got a problem, as you just stated, you know. So maybe you come to me and you ask me, you say, listen, so and so and so, you know, I need somebody, can you help this? And I say to you, sure. But then I don't see you again, you know, for a while. Then when I do see you, you say, well, you know, remember when I said, listen, I get right back to you. Well, that's the type of going on here with the people who got money, the people that's in government. They talk, and Muslims, they say something, but you know, they got their pick as to who they might do something for. I mean, it's terrible here. It's terrible, but we say alhamdulillah because it's not. I'm just saying it in the sense of, well, that's what we up against. But we know Allah's God, so we just keep rolling. We just keep on moving. It's going to come down to me. It's going to come down to those who know what's going on and that's willing to fight till we die. Simple as that. Try to put something together, do something, and that's it. We trust God, and then we have to just keep moving and trying to. For instance, I would say, you now. I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna be contacting you now because I know there's certain things that I've been trying to do. I don't have the language. For instance, I want to set up a website for a non-profit, well, no, a for-profit organization. However, in my head, I was saying, it's something I'm involved in right now. I'm getting into real estate. I just graduated from this Jumpstart program thing. And all that's going to be tying into what I was just talking about, trying to get different people together to try to help people that's coming out of them prisons. Or right now I'm dealing with the youth center. I'm not really dealing with the prisons, but coming out, and maybe, we can start trying to teach them how to be electricians and doing things to where we can, people that's buying property, maybe we can get you over there, you stay with him, that, so forth, and that type of thing. Jobs in jail type of thing like that, But I was saying, okay, I know as soon as I just get this one property, as soon as I get this one property off of me, and you don't really have to be totally waiting, but I want to set up this website, and I'm looking at, okay, how do I get a professional person? Because I don't know anything about none of that. All I can do is go on the internet and ask those things, and then I don't know for real. Okay, how do I know if this person is really, I'm willing to pay. Because I want it to be right. That's the whole point. I'm trying to reach an end. I ain't trying to get paid like whole money, but I'm trying to do something that's beneficial for us all. So, I'll be getting in touch with you, so maybe you can help me to figure out. Okay, well, here's somebody I know, or however, I don't know.
Well, we definitely have people in our community that have that skill set. I don't know. I haven't gone on CWSC's volunteer website to see how many people with that skill set are registered, but I would imagine there are some on there. And I'm thinking about, the young lady, and I can't remember her name right now, so forgive me, that helped the conveners set up everything with the 50th year celebration that was held in Philadelphia. And she would be a perfect conduit, if not her connections, the people that are in that. I guess she's around 40 years old. Ishmael, correct me if I'm wrong, but she seems to be somebody that's probably late 30s to around 40 years old.
Are you talking about Marsha? You talking about Marsha Nivens?
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody that's in her circle, all the young Muslim group that she is around and works with, and they stay connected. There's going to be somebody in that circle that has that expertise.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I got some Martha's number. I'm
Yeah. Yeah, that would be one of my first stops. And there are other people that I could mention, but I know that she and her husband, if I'm not mistaken, are pretty close by Philadelphia, and probably maybe know somebody that is in your, within driving distance of you that could sit down with you instead of
Oh,
trying
I
to do it
think
over the phone or over the internet or whatever and help you get that done.
so you're not talking about Sister Martha who was she?
It's Marcia, not Martha.
Marcia.
Oh, Sister Marcia. No, I don't know
Yes.
her.
Okay. Then Brother Ishmael, you know how to get in contact with her, right, Brother Ishmael?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you could help Brother Hassan out as far as contact information or making some kind of introduction, that would probably be helpful because she stays busy. You know,
Okay.
she has a full-time job and then she does a lot of stuff for the community. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, she doesn't she help out with Study Al-Islam to some extent? Or am I mixing her
Yes.
with
No,
somebody
yes, she
else?
is. Yes, she is.
Okay.
And I haven't been on there lately since our sister has been diagnosed, so I don't know if she's the one running it or not. I'm not sure.
Okay. But yeah, I thought that she was involved with Study Al-Islam too. So this is a person that has some connections, Brother Hassan, that
Okay.
probably right in your neighborhood can give you some of the help that you need.
Brother Edward, do you have Hassan Shamsuddin's number?
I don't. Hassan, do you mind? It's just us four on here, and we're no longer, hey, look, we're no longer on YouTube. So
Right.
it's just us four. Do you know, Hassan, do you know how to use the chat?
I'm doing it now.
Okay. Yeah, if you put it in the chat, that makes sure that it won't end up on any broadcast that gets leaked either, your information. So
And I'll reach out to you.
Okay. Inshallah.
so there it is. Looks like he put it in the chat for you, Ishmael, if you pull that. And
Okay, I got it.
it is it looks like it's what is about 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Am I correct in that? Couple
10:04.
minutes after? Huh?
10:04.
Oh, okay. So I think I kept you guys up late enough tonight. So I'm going to ask Imam Adam Bia to close us out.
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Lord, give us the best benefits in this life and the best benefits of life to come and save us, oh Lord, from the torment of the hellfire. Amen.
Amen.
I mean,
Thank you all. Wonderful time. Great talking to you guys. Have a great night's rest and great tomorrow.
Thanks a lot.
All
Thank you,
right.
bro.
Do the same, my brother.